That's going to leave us with 3, then 2, and then 1. Welcome back, Say Something family. This is the Say Something Show. We got Money Mitch to my left, big old Benny Blanc right here, sitting to the right. We got some good stuff going as usual. It's the NFL season, so both of our teams always take a hack at it. So we have those weekly updates. We got a good around the league look. Of course, the MLB is down in its final stretch, so we're going to have a great hot corner and a full scope of kind of what you can expect from the playoffs. We'll give you a little bit of fantasy talk, too, back in the football region of things. And the rest of that we'll get to as we progress on. But without anything else spoken of, I got to check in with the homie and do our tradition. Hopefully you guys do the same thing. Take a moment real quick to make sure if you're around somebody, they're doing all right. How are you doing, my boy?
Man, got a real tough feeling going on today. We'll get into it a little bit later, but Oakland A is playing their final game in Oakland. I went to the last series when they played the Yankees. It was so surreal, man, just seeing them, knowing that they're never going to come back, because I doubt any team's going to want to come back to Oakland.
Right.
So it's just the end of an era in terms of all sports pretty much in Oakland. You know, shouts out the Roots and the Ballers, and the Soul. But just not really any major sports teams in Oakland anymore, and it's just a sad thing.
Yeah, I had one of my kids that I work with. He's a Raider fan, and it's super sad because a lot of the youngsters really don't understand the business aspect.
Yeah.
So they really do expect these teams to come back. They're like, yeah, it'll why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they miss Oakland? But yeah, it's definitely sad. I grew up obviously not a fan of the A's or the Raiders in the sense of my true fandom, but I always had respect for them and never would want to see them leave. Like what they brought to the city was always, professional sports always just brings good things to the city for the most part. Obviously generated revenue for a good period of time before they just sank the ship.
Yeah.
And I just think it was just unfair, right? Like I just think that the way that the ownership treated this city, who went to bat for them literally time after time, regardless of what that roster looked like. And, they kept salvaging rosters, making things into, actually valuable assets and then shipping them off again, just toying with everybody and then acting, on the closing remarks as though it was like, we really tried our best to stay in Oakland and it just failed. To me, that was just like the last slap in the face as a Bay Area native, where it's just like, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah, that shit's just false.
Yeah, like we all know what really happened, and we've all witnessed this, for the last 15 years, pretty much. Maybe even more. Yeah, maybe 20. Maybe 20.
Ever since you took over the team.
Ever
since you took over the team.
Yep. And I do not wish them success in Las Vegas. I just feel like you can't do that, you know what I mean, and then expect to I think that would be.
If you decide to switch up once you move to another place and all of a sudden want to start paying people and all that, I can't. He was penny pitching for the players that he already has. So what's going to be different when he moves somewhere else?
Right.
I think other cities kind of understand that, and that's why even Vegas isn't like super gung ho about bringing the A's to Vegas, because if you aren't a team that's going to try and win, I don't think they really want you there, and I doubt people would want to sit in 105-degree weather to watch a game when your team's going to lose 100 games.
Right. And when you treat them like that, they're fully aware of the character you have. So why would they put more money in your pockets? But farewell, so long. Good memories there. I love the Coliseum, like I said. So in terms of my check-in.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Like we've been discussing, for the last couple of weeks, I'm in school. So my body is trying to regulate to the differences in my schedule and just the energy exertion. But it's going well. I'm meeting a lot of new people. So it's a lot of Bart Light simulation a little bit, where it's just person. But I'm excited to get to work on what I'm actually there for, which is going to start sooner than later. And I feel like kind of the whole presidential waving period will be stopping soon here. And for me, that's quite draining. So it's been a lot. But in terms of actually what I've needed to get done, I've got it all done so far. I have all A's in the classes so far. So I'm just gonna try to continue it. But
Yes, sir.
I'm tired. But these type of shows usually are a beautiful kind of like reinvigoration for my energy level, just because I love sports. I love Bay Area talk. I love my boys. We all here, family making good stuff. And so, yeah, I'm ready.
Yes, sir.
On that note. So let's jump right in. Full weekend of football. Oh, man, I'll let you take the lead first, since we had a little,
rough.
if you guys watched last week, we had a little, back and forth. You know how Bay Area football talk goes. And it got a little banterish. So, this week
didn't work out for either of us.
We're going to be respectful this week and just let it rock and roll. But I'll let you start off with your boys. What is the Raider outlook, man?
With that in mind, regardless that it was the Carolina Panthers, would you rather your team be up and dominating the whole game and then lose it? Or would you just be happy like, it's halftime, we're down 20, let's just knock this one out, get to the next one? But that's basically what happened to the Raiders. They had Andy Dalton come through and show the Raiders defense their true colors, because they were not black and silver on Sunday. Our record is now 1-2 after losing to the Panthers. He threw for 3 touchdowns. That's looking ugly. Right now, the Raiders they preach having an identity, but right now it doesn't seem like they know what's going on with who. I haven't seen Christian Wilkinson. Where have you been at, bro? Like, I haven't heard your name when they've been in games. Like, I know you got 1 sack, but come on, we need more production. We need to just at least hear your name making an impact on the game if you're going to be our damn near highest paid player out there.
That's $100 million man.
So that's number one, you step up. But I can understand that they're having a difficult time because this offense is putrid.
Yeah.
Very, very bad. Averaging 19 points per game, which is on the lower half of the records for all teams. You got Gardner Minshew, 73 of 99, has thrown for 747 yards. But that's just as many interceptions as he does touchdowns, which is 3.
In 3 games.
In 3 games.
Yeah,
you have Devontae Adams,
you gotta make that
Kobe Myers. You have Brock Bowers. You have Michael Mayer. What? 3 touchdowns? Like, that should just be Devontae alone. I should have 3 touchdowns. So that's the first thing where maybe the line and the cohesion from the line isn't working out. Or it could be bum-ass Zamir White.
Man.
Because, man, you have been awful all season. Had no excuses against the Carolina Panthers. Worst defense out there. And I think you might have had like 20 yards. You have 32 carries on the season for 102 yards.
Couldn't read
You have 102 yards in 3 games, my boy. Like, act like you want to be there. Act like you know how to read lanes, because 3.1 yards per carry is not cutting it for us right now. And that's light. That's like generous in my mind, because that's a first down every 4 plays. But I don't think if we ran it with you every game, every time, we'd be getting anywhere. And that doesn't help Gardner Minshew at all. Madison is more of a pass catching running back, so he's not getting many touches in terms of running the ball. I think we might have like 158 yards total of rushing for the whole season.
Nasty.
If we can't get the running game going, the 747 yards, that's 250 a game damn near, is not going to help us when it comes to Gardner Minshew. It's just going to be a bunch of him trying to chuck it downfield while we're losing, which also doesn't help our defense because they're on the field so much, because you do so many 3 and outs. We don't step on teams' necks. We don't extend leads, which is what you need to help your defense. If we go up 7-0 to start the game and our defense makes 2 straight stops, but by the time they're back out there, it's still 7-0, that gives them no confidence. And then all of a sudden, it's 21-7. And we haven't scored in 4 or 5 more drives.
Right.
When we're going 3 and outs, we're taking a series going like a minute and 30 seconds and think we're going to win a game like that. Like, extend it, man. Y'all got to try and be more productive. I don't know if it's the scheme or, hey, you got double tight ends. You just drafted 2 tight ends high. Read in between the lines, like in between the hash marks. Just start dumping it down. You've seen what happened when you get to those guys. So Zamir White and the Oakland Raiders offense, let's get it together. Let's make some long drives so that we can actually be formidable when our defense comes out there so they're not frustrated, ready to fight rather than to play good defense. Our defense is bottom 10 in the league in passing per game. They've given up 226 yards per game, bottom 10 in the league. 152 rushing yards, fourth worst in the league. Giving up 27 points per game, sixth worst in the league. -4 turnover differential. We've thrown 3 interceptions and fumbled twice, and our defense has gotten 1 interception. That's not going to help, bro. That's not doing it for us. We are struggling. We need to be more productive on offense. It's getting frustrating. We're 1-2 now. We're supposed to have this whole different identity on defense. We're supposed to be a powerhouse, supposedly, just besides our quarterback. Let's start showing up, or, hey, it might be AO time for Aiden O'Connell because some of these
guys, which
maybe not Minshew, but, hey, we could put Aiden O'Connell in the back and hand him off the ball. I think he can get, he'll get 50 yards a game. Guys, it can't be that difficult, bro, to, miss every lane.
Bro.
What do I want to do when I get the ball? Oh, I think I'm going to run into a defender. Make some moves. Do something, bro. There just needs to be more excitement for the kind of players that we have, or else we're going to be getting rid of a lot of players and trying to restart again.
Yeah, I mean, 102 yards out of your starting running back in 3 games is to go, what is it?
It's dead last. It's 153 yards is the worst rushing in the league, dead last. I mean, 51 yards per game.
So he went
Yikes,
44 against Chargers, 24 against Baltimore, and 34 against
non-existent.
Yeah, that is – Carolina's one of the worst defenses.
It's just a bummer, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a continual update, like we've said, as the season progresses with all of these teams. But this week is clearly a rough one for both of us. To answer Mitch's question, though, would I rather lose? I don't even care about the fashion we lose in. For me, it's more about I'd rather be having a roster that has a bunch of key injuries and lose to a team that still at least has Matthew Stafford. I'm not saying the Rams were missing guys; they were too, but they at least still have Matthew Stafford, who we know he can win games on his own. And the end of the day, Carolina to me is almost not a pro roster. It's borderline, and especially when you pull Bryce Young off of it, who's the only number 1 pick, the only guy with any, I guess he doesn't have pedigree anymore,
right.
But he had college pedigree prestige. That to me, all jokes aside, I just would not want to be in that position because the Raiders are better than that. Right.
And to your point, it's really nice that when it comes down to it, that injuries are the only reason. It's for us, if people get injured, we're just even worse. But even when they come back, it's I don't know if we're that much better because the record doesn't show it. But for a team like the Niners, that seems to be the only thing that ever goes wrong is that all the players just end up getting hurt
at the same time.
At the same time.
But so this week we played the Rams, as I just kind of alluded to. Obviously, it was a tough game. I mean, we were out ahead a lot of the game. I thought we kind of overachieved, even for how many injuries we had. There's no Kittle, no Debo. Nick Bosa and Ward did end up suiting up, but they both kind of looked like shells of themselves, especially Ward. Bosa, he kind of got out there and did his thing, but they also had a terrible O-line, so it's hard to tell if Bosa was really doing his thing or if that's just a depleted O-line. Ward, however, was getting worked out there. And they didn't have Puka, nor did they have Cooper, Kupp, that is. So obviously their biggest weapons were not there. So to watch him, who's our number 1 and a clear guy who can hang with, some top guys, it was alarming to see him look that way. What I will say as well is it's very early, but we haven't seen any of our draft class yet. That'll be very interesting to see. The one guy who has been out there a little bit, who's probably been overlooked, is Malik Mustafa. He is a little bit of a liability. Kind of reminds me of Jamal Adams a little bit. He's a little bit of a liability when it comes to pass coverage. Gets lost out there. Definitely a roamer, but he is a absolute headhunter when it comes to the run game. And he's really a guy that we love in our systems. We always, when we have good defense, have a guy like that who's just there to just drop the hammer and do nothing else. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see the way the defense progresses because I feel like we've done them dirty this year. And I don't think that they're playing at their peak yet. But the offense has had zero control of the ball for the most part. Like, even our scores have been relatively quick for the Niners. The Niners like to just soak clock. I mean, that's what we do. And you can tell without C-Mac, and this is kind of also credit to Jordan Mason, like, he's been running so effectively, and we've decided to stay away from throwing with our running backs since we no longer have one that's a pass catcher, to where, like, we are hitting a lot more of these short dink and dunk plays that are, with our boys, are yak plays. And so we're like holding less clock than we're used to, which I think is making the defense look a little bit weaker than they should. I actually think that they're turning the ball over. They're doing a lot in key moments. If there's a guy that I would say, I'd like to see continually work his way back into the fold, it's Huff. I need Hufanga to, he still looks a little, I mean, he had a huge injury. So we all know the position and how he plays. That kind of injury is going to must be wild for the mind.
Especially at that high level of sports. It's like, you got to play some games to be able to get back into the sport thing.
So he looks very hesitant. Like, he's definitely not playing instinctual ball. He's not read and react. He's like read, react. And so I hope that ends up changing, because when he's flying around, everybody else has more time. And so I think that'll help as well. I love what Purdy did. I just want to give a shout out, for all those haters, who there's a lot. I mean, there's just tons of people who he got drafted last. I get it, right? But I think it's time to, like, drop that narrative. We don't have to say he's the best quarterback in the league. Nobody's fighting for that. But, like, stop calling him Mr. Irrelevant, all these things, when it is very clear at this point, this is just a good quarterback. Right? Just a very smart dude. Does he have every intangible that some of these top guys have? No. But is he one of these guys that, honestly, when you see him make a read downfield and he lets it go, do you feel good about it? Yes. And is that something I'm familiar with as a Niner fan? No. Like, I wasn't alive watching Joe Montana and Steve Young like that. I was watching more highlights. So really, when Jimmy G, we all know what we've all been through in the past, especially with the deep ball, right? And so Purdy doesn't have the strongest arm, but he has this almost like Brett Favre fearlessness in terms of his anticipation with his throws, where he just lets it go without thinking. He really trusts the guys. He really trusts the offense he's in. He trusts Shanahan's play calling. And I think I saw that this weekend in a way that, even though we lost, I was really proud of, right? He put up stats that any quarterback would want to do with a depleted team behind him. At the end of the day, do I wish that we were able to soak more clock in the end, which has been a Shanahan issue? I mean, if there's one gripe against him, it's that Shanahan sometimes, we give the ball back a lot, you know what I mean? In times where it's like, just take an extra minute. Just give me an extra minute 30, even if we're going to give it up. I hope he's learning from those things as well, because now is the time to do it, to continually be fine-tuning it. But I love what Purdy did. And, if there's a guy who I really also, on the other end, want to say, like, if you don't step it up, I'm going to tell people, we got to figure out a new jersey to cop. Brandon Ayuk. My boy.
Have you seen him?
Bro.
Have you seen him?
No, you ran off with the bag. Like, what is going on, dude? And I know you missed all this time and but my concern is your hands. Because most of the time it would be route running. It would be like, okay, he's not back yet. His legs are a little wobbly. Bro, you're getting open and just bottling it. I'm talking about, and Purdy's just putting it in your lap. Just, here, take it, please. And you're like, no, I don't want it.
One bag, I'm going to fumble the other, though.
I got to remind you, BA, the ball is not a hot potato. It is okay. It won't burn you. Hold on to it. And you're wearing gloves. So even if it was going to burn you, just trust me. All you need is a couple seconds to finish the grab, to complete a football motion. They'll call it a touchdown. BA, get your head in the game and get your ass away from that bag. And I mean all the bags. Money bag, reefer bag, whatever bag you're hanging around, money bag, yo. I don't know who it is or what it is. We need you back on the football field, on that gridiron, playing how we know you can, Still have a lot of faith in you, but you have let us down. And I'd be naive to say that there wasn't some real issues with you in, frankly, all three of these games, but especially both of them that we lost. There were literal touchdowns that you dropped. So,
on the flip side of that, from the other side of the field, you had your boy 11 catches, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns for that boy Juwan Jennings.
Beast.
Shout out to you, Juwan, for
third and Juwan.
Exactly. Has been like the third option the whole time. First time he gets a chance to be a number one option, or not first time. He's had other chances while guys been hurt, but coming out showing, hey, I could do this too.
He's a real dog. I've always loved him. He's always in on our third down packages. I'm glad you brought that up, because it would have been horrible me watching this back and not having highlighted him. What a career day for my boy.
Right?
Stamina's always been an issue with the guy, so it was great to see him be out there and just like, I'm going to run every package I can. I'll be in all the plays. I'm ready to go. He's definitely a special player in terms of body frame, catchability.
Yeah.
Not the fastest guy, but he is
open.
He is a solid 6'4", and he's just short of 250. And when you think about the majority of DBs, that's tough.
Yeah.
And so, I loved how he played bully ball. Reminded me kind of like an Antonio Gates kind of game, where it's just like, not even running the craziest routes, just kind of like, I bet I get there.
Yeah.
And Purdy saying, I got faith in you. And those, was it 3 tugs?
Three.
3 tugs. So fantasy day for those owners who put him in there.
Like 40 points.
Wowzers. But he's always been a red zone threat, so I'm just glad to see him get a full game and probably, if you played that tape out, probably be as good as the majority of his highlights have been if you compiled the rest of them versus that night. That's how good of a night it was for him. So thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, we got to get on the right track in terms of, we got to get these guys back from injury. I'd love to see, supposedly we're supposed to see Ricky after he got shot. Apparently he's bouncing back, nothing.
Ricky.
Yeah, run Ricky. But I'd love to see him out there, man. This guy is a smooth route runner, and that's something that I'd like to see out there right now. Like, we have so many athletes. We have so many yak guys, which I love. It's a part of our offense. But, man, I'd love to see some of these sleek in routes being taken by somebody who really is a route specialist.
Yeah.
And this guy is known for catching in traffic as well. And I know the team would really kind of get behind him. Like, the way they reacted when he got shot was like, they weren't okay with that. They got Trent obviously to sign that contract and get on back. So I'd love to see him
bounce back. I saw he got hurt.
Yeah, Trent did bounce back, but Trent always wants a game. Knock on wood, but there's once a game where he hits the tent. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that's
a big ball.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, I see more of it in the early season, is because he sits out. Pretty much every offseason, which. I respect it. I do not want you showing up to camp.
Get your rest.
But I'm just saying, in the beginning of the year, I noticed you hit the sideline a little bit more, and that could be attested to you skipping camp, which is all good. Dominic Pooney, though, has been the one rookie from this class who's been amazing on our line. He's playing guard, right guard, that is. This guy's super athletic. He's really holding the line down in terms of, I think him and Jordan Mason are helping each other so much right now in terms of keeping us formidable. Because he's a pull specialist, right? So he's one of these athletic, good feet kind of guys that Shanahan likes, who's a little lighter, but he's just a mover. He just likes to get around and get himself there before you're going to get there. And then, we've seen a little bit of Isaac Guerrero, who's the running back, who, he runs high, but he's the guy that runs that 4-3-2, but he's big. Isak. Yeah, he's been on kick returns too, so he's making a little bit of impact. Renardo Green's out there on certain packages, so I like seeing him. He's tough and skinny. And then Jacob Cowling's been a little bit on punt returns, so I didn't want to say that we haven't seen them at all. I'm just saying in terms of like truly stepping into,
how we have Brock Bowers out there.
Right. Or even into like, high enough percentage of play packages to where you're out there for like, give me 40% of plays and up. Like those guys aren't even at that.
I don't know what happened, or if I might be mistaken, but I don't think Powers Johnson has been on the field for us.
Is he injured
at all? He might be hurt.
I think he's
still,
injured.
But it's like,
I think he's injured.
We need you, buddy.
I think he's
see
injured.
how our line's going. We need you.
Yeah. I think he's injured. I'm really more shocked before we truly move on. I am really shocked about Christian Watkins.
Wilkinson.
Yeah.
He's
Wilkins or Wilkinson, whatever.
He's been. I just need to hear you and Max Crosby's name a little bit more, other than the announcers highlighting how you guys are the best players on defense.
Right. And he's a guy that what was his stats when he got there?
I mean, I'm not even too concerned about his stats, but it's more just like I need your presence, like your name to be like, yep, he stopped that run. Yep, he stopped. Yeah, he pressured that. I don't feel like I'm hearing that when I'm watching the game.
And it is Christian Wilkins, so we just want to make sure we got your name right. But yeah, bro, you're 28, you're in your prime, my boy, and you just got a lot of money. So
let's get it.
Let's hear something about you.
Make some turnovers happen. You
know
what I mean?
Right.
Pressure's on quarterbacks. Quarterback just threw for 3 touchdowns, like 300 yards. Where's the pressure?
Right. And don't have, like, on the Raiders, really, don't have – this is a real issue, but also a testament to Brock Bowers and just kind of his actual football pedigree. But, like, don't have him look like the most seasoned football player on your team.
Right?
That is crazy.
Jeez,
man's is 20, 21, you know. Let's move on. We have fantasy talk to go over, which is still in the same realm, which is why it's all good that we get there and get there now. Fantasy football, we talked a little bit last week about injuries. There's been a lot of huge injuries. I think right now we're going to kind of go over, we can touch on how our teams did last week a little bit. I'm going to go into some ads, some potential ads at skill positions. So I'll let Mitch kind of go over a little bit of what happened in this last week via his fantasy teams, and we'll go from there.
So like I said last week, I'm in a Dynasty League on the Sleeper app. First timer in the Dynasty realm. Didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, that's why I picked Rashee Rice. I don't think his numbers are going to be looking too good next year moving forward. But hey, this year,
champion winner.
That's my guy because I drafted you in like the 6th or 7th round.
He's going crazy.
And he's going absolutely crazy. But just a quick rundown of the team. I got Josh Allen at quarterback. That's going to be a solid guy.
For a while.
Devon Achane, somebody that a lot of us were kind of skeptical on how his season might go. Again, it's still just a 3rd week, but he's been quite productive. Jordan Mason, I was lucky enough to have picked him up as the last pick in my draft.
Crazy.
For some reason, with this Dynasty one, I was just kind of like, I kept seeing like little things next to McCaffrey. So I was like, maybe he might go down a week or two. I could just toss this guy in that kind of offense. He's been holding it down for me. I got Jamar Chase and Marvin Harrison Jr. as my wide receivers who have actually been killing it. Jamar Chase this week actually killed it. Before he
slow
wasn't.
Start.
Looking like he's ramping back up.
Same with Joe, though.
Player.
Same with Joe.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was very cold. He's heating up. Trey McBride. I'm happy to have him. I know there's better tight ends, but all those guys are hurt or having terrible seasons so far. So he's somebody I'm excited to have who can at least, I hope, be a consistent 10 points. You know what I'm saying? I can't expect too much from the tight end position. A lot of people that I'm talking to and hearing from are saying maybe they do away with the tight end and just add another flex in fantasy. Hey, I'm not mad at it because the tight end position is very much a coin flip.
Absolutely.
My flex positions, like we talked about before, I got Rashee Rice.
Baller.
Killing it this season, so I'm happy for one season. I'm enjoying it so far.
Baller.
Being an absolute boss, being Patrick Mahomes' #1 guy. Seems like you're going to be like an 8 to 9 receptions per game kind of player. So anytime that can be your 3rd guy as a receiver, that's good.
Moneyball.
And then a guy who's been killing it too, Chris Godwin.
You
had your choice of Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. I'm sure a lot of us went Mike Evans first, but to be able to get him in a low round as well, he's been productive, a touchdown every game so far.
Yep.
He's been great to have. My kicker, more to be desired. I got Dicker as my kicker for the Chargers.
Dicker the kicker.
He could be stepping it up. He's a young guy, but I could use more out of him. And then I got the Steelers defense that's always going to be formidable as long as they have Tomlin as their coach. So
TJ Watt.
They might not give me crazy points every week, but a lot of times they're not killing my points total.
Yep.
And then I'm excited to have Jake Ferguson as my backup tight end. And then I'm happy and excited to see what Jonathan Brooks has to offer. I know Chuba Hubbard had a great game against the weak-ass Raiders.
Somehow the week before Jonathan Brooks was supposed to
a week before.
None of them could run ever.
They might have a little competition there, but I fully expect him to come on strong and be the guy to potentially, if CMC comes back sooner than later, be a replacement for
For
Jordan
Jordan,
Mason
right.
if he's not getting as many touches.
By that time, he should definitely be.
Right. Rashid Shaheed did not have a great game this past one. I think he had 0 receptions. So
oh, my God.
the first 2 weeks he did great, but hey, you can't expect everything every week from these guys. And
took my money, man.
That's why I like the spread that I have on this team of guys. My bench is Derek Carr, Trey Benson, Rico Dowdle, Chase Brown, Rashid Shaheed, Jamison Williams, Quentin Johnson, and Jake Ferguson. So I'm not expecting any of those guys to be guys who can consistently, week after week, be big hitters. But I think they'll have at least 4 or 5 big weeks that, hey, if I have a bye for the other guys or somebody gets hurt, I still have an optimistic chance of having a good day with those guys. So 3-0 as the 10th pick in the league, which is the last pick for our team league, and 3-0 top scoring team in my league all 3 weeks. So
that's all you can ask for.
Good start. I'm happy for how it's going. Let me know some of these big ads that we can be making.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we move on from your team, can you give them your biggest overachiever and the guy you need to step it up? Who's your surprise so far this roster?
Man, I would say my surprises might be. I mean, it's got to be Jordan Mason is the biggest surprise because he's just somebody I got who was probably going to be the first person I dropped.
Yep.
If somebody else came to light that I could get real quick, him, and then just a happy surprise to see Marvin Harrison being such a big part of that offense. And it seems like a concerted effort is to try and get him the ball at all times.
As they should.
I'm just happy with my team. It seems like almost all my guys are guys that the team kind of rely on. And there was some that I was like, maybe not. And just over the first 3 weeks, it's just been working out for me. Happy getting these 3 wins, but still knowing that there's a lot of season left.
Right.
And there's other people that I've seen make some moves for some free agents where I'm like, oof.
Right. Which is tough about having a good roster early is like you can't really jump off them too quick.
Right.
Anybody that you feel like I got to see more of you later down this season? Like
Rico Dowdle. I was hoping. I know he just scored a touchdown tonight.
Yeah.
But he's somebody I want to see take Ezekiel Elliott into retirement. And get that starting role that damn near Tony Pollard was set up for. I don't think there's anything stopping him. He has 11 points tonight so far, so he's solid, but he's somebody I want to see more consistency from. And unfortunately, James Conner is doing very solid so far this year. So it's knocking Trey Benson back
that's a good one.
A little bit. And he's somebody who kind of was projected to maybe overtake James Conner, or I would never wish this on nobody, but James Conner does have some injury issues. So somebody that might be out sooner than later, but I hope he stays on the field. And then Chase Brown not getting his opportunity and with the Bengals in Cincinnati and then relying on Zach Moss is like, come on, bro. Step it up, dog. Like, Zach Moss, come on. He wasn't even a first string on the other teams he was on. So
at all.
Miss me with that.
At all.
So those are the guys where I'm like, I want to see some more from you guys.
Well, we're going to jump into the ads. My teams, I got a lot of C-Mac, so we ain't even going to go into it. Ads. We got my boy Bucky Irvin. So if you know about the situation with Tampa Bay, Rashard's a good pass back. He's been struggling a lot with his rushing. Bucky is a guy that has always rushed well, but his numbers didn't grade out well at the combine. So he kind of flopped a little bit in terms of that grading process and getting the maximum what I thought of the value from actually his skill and what he put on his resume. I feel like they got a steal. He's just really good at running the ball, like reading the hole, getting to it. He's a pure running back. Whereas Rashard is kind of a tweener and all that. So I think that's a guy you want to get on your roster. Rashard, he's probably going to stay being the guy for a while because the Bucs are doing well. But I think that he's injury prone with how they're using him, and he's struggled already this year to stay fully 100%. He's just kind of played through it. I think as they see more of Bucky, they're going to recognize, you know what, we might want to loosen the leash up on this guy. and start getting him at least 15 carries a game. And then I think he's very fantasy viable if it gets to that point, maybe a flex play.
Definitely more of like an in-game baller. May not wow you in the combine or in the skills thing, but when he gets on the field, that man's productive.
And shaky too. It's like, which I don't know if they were able to really put down on the numbers with the combine. What's your boy from the Jets?
Braylon Allen.
There we go.
That is a boy too, for sure.
So yeah, if he might not still be on your waivers, but I also see a lot of skeptical people around him because of the fact that obviously he's not going to usurp the boy Bryce, right? So there's a lot of people who are like, but I don't think a lot of people understand that the way the Jets play, and especially this year, there's plenty of room for a Braylon. What is it?
Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen. Yeah. Thank you. He's a pass catching specialist, and this is an Aaron Rodgers that no longer has the deep arm. Yes, he'll take a couple shots here and there, especially if he gets the free play. But this is the quick dink and dunk, read, register, get it off. And with a guy like Braylon Allen, who is just super talented once he gets the ball in his hand, he's a yak master.
Yeah.
This is the kind of explosiveness that the Jets would be missing otherwise, right? They're just not that explosive of an offense. And Garrett Wilson doesn't get a lot of chances to be explosive with the way that they like to play their routes. So that would be the only other guy that I would say is like a true explosion. I mean, obviously, Breece Hall is amazing, but he's not that, true, like, big play explosion, even like a Saquon is, So I think that's a guy you really want to look for. There's then my boy from the Bengals. It's Andre Isova
something like that.
Isovelis, I think his name is.
Sorry for butchering that.
Yeah.
You got a hard name, bro.
As it goes, if you keep serving, trust me, we'll get it down.
First it was Hushmanzada Bengals, now it's this guy.
Right. What are we doing? But this is a dude who's taking a lot of opportunities while T. Higgins was down and while Jamar was kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
Everybody didn't know what the status of Jamar, if he was really trying, because his money is kind of tied up. And he really took the opportunity. Yeah, he really took the opportunity to make sure that, he's a possession receiver, which is something Joe Burrow likes. So he made sure to become a quarterback-friendly guy.
Yeah.
Get there, get in front of him, show him hands quick. And even when the Bengals were sucking, which has led to them being throwing the ball a lot, he's definitely benefited from that. But I think that it's easy to be a receiver like that and completely do nothing when the quarterback is used to throwing to a T. Higgins or a Jamar Chase. So that's a guy that I would look at just because I feel like this year that run game is awful. I mean, Mitch just mentioned it. They are relying on Zach Moss. Chase Brown is way better. Like watching Chase Brown, it has to be an overall injury concern.
Is it a blocking thing, maybe? Is
Zach
Moss better at blocking or something?
Maybe, but I feel like it has to be an injury thing where they're trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt in the long run. And they must not think he's capable of 15-plus rushes because they cap him at 8.
Yeah.
And he's always getting 40-something yards. You know what I mean? And the way he runs is it's actually, like we talk about, explosive out the backfield, which Zach Moss is anti that.
Yeah.
Zach Moss is you're happy for 3 yards per carry. Yeah. And he's falling backwards on that too. But yeah, so those would be the guys that I would take a look at. There's also a couple more here that I got to throw up there, which is Xavier Legette, who I think now is going to get much more of an opportunity because of Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton obviously is going to throw the ball 35-plus times a game now. We all have seen whenever they let loose the red cannon, that's exactly what's going to happen. He's just going to be firing off, and they're going to actually be able to probably generate more of a run game just because now there's the threat of him throwing 45 times.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, and part of me still doesn't quite understand the Bryce Young thing, which we'll continue to touch on as more stuff comes out. I would love if the Raiders would trade for him. I think that, that's a discussion maybe we'll have further down the road, but Bryce Young has not gotten a fair shot, and I'm just tired of the Raiders overlooking, bro, just get, Michael Mayer does not need to be on the team. Get him off the team. He's dope. Just get him off the team, bro. He should be a tight end one somewhere else. It doesn't make sense. The way your offense is, at one point it sounded okay. Sounded like maybe you guys are going to be bougie, right? And okay, we got 2 tight ends now because that's how much resources we got. Let's scratch that, okay? Brock Bowers will do enough.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get it done, right? And y'all ain't good enough. Y'all ain't the Patriots to be running a two tight, right? Like the offense ain't moving like that.
Tom Brady back there,
bruh. And you guys need a rushing game to run two tight end heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Zamir White ain't going nowhere. Whether we have 4 tight ends out there, so let's get rid of one. Let's get rid of one,
Mm-hmm.
and let's try to get some talent in here. Throw a draft pick at him. Look, they could use a mayor. Trust me, a young building block on the offensive end. They're gonna reset anyway next year with a new quarterback.
The next Greg Olsen.
Bro,
for the Panthers.
Come on now. Think about it. So I would look at Xavier Legette. He was drafted this year out of South Carolina. He's kind of a bigger Debo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Not as great rushing. Also probably not as good hands at this point in his career, but much more known as a yak guy, as a lot of those South Carolina guys are. And I think with Andy Dalton out there now, his route tree becomes usable.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young wasn't enough time, wasn't getting the ball deep downfield enough to even make a Legette useful.
Yeah.
So I think now you could look at that guy and see a potential wide receiver 3, maybe a flex. And then lastly, you may want to take a look at Roschon Johnson for the Bears. The Bears are always struggling with building a rush. And Roschon Johnson's actually a guy who's done well for them. He kind of has – he was a guy – I don't know if you guys remember a couple years back. It was him and Herbert.
Yeah, Khalil.
And Roschon Johnson outplayed him. You know, it's another one of these kind of Chase Brown situations where it's like, I mean – we know just by watching. We don't have to go by the numbers. This guy's just running better. Defenses are more scared of this guy. And so, you know, I think with Swift being potentially out, also being very inefficient, and being a guy that we know goes on these long streaks of being on the injured list. Like once he gets injured, he sits.
He gone.
I would take a long look. You know, I think that the Bears are going to continue getting better as the season progresses. They have a bad O-line. So don't sit here and go, whoa, Benny told me to pick them up because they're a rush-heavy team. No, they are a spread offense. At the end of the day, we all know waiver wires are very bleak, and we are trying to point out to you potential gems that who knows, if everything went right, they could be in position to help save a season if you have a guy who falters out at the wrong time.
And speaking of the Bears, if he might not be added for your team for tight end, Cole Kmet is somebody who's going to be – he had 25 points in fantasy last week, so he's somebody who maybe Caleb Williams starts to rely on a little more to get it out quick because of that weak old line. Right.
And Cole Kmet has been productive before, so, you know, there's no doubt. We're going to now jump forward. You know, that was the NFL. Like we said, tough week. We'll continue to get it for you guys every week in terms of the true layout of what has happened and what we feel should happen moving forward for both the red and gold and the black and silver, or the silver and black.
It was a rough Sunday.
Tough for both of us. We're looking forward to this next weekend. Hopefully it's redemption. And for you guys, drop in the chat how you guys felt. If you are Niner or Raiders fans, tell us how you felt about the games. Or you can drop your home team and how you felt about whatever result happened for y'all this weekend. Football is booming everywhere. Before we give the hot corner off to Mitch so he can finish us on out with baseball, I just wanted to take a quick look at the NFL standings, and let's just go over the undefeated teams and pick one each who we feel is the legit 3-0.
Well, Steelers definitely not.
Okay.
So, sorry, Steeler fans out there, but
so he's taking one off the list. So here's the teams. We have Buffalo Bills 3-0.
Buffalo Bills.
Steelers 3-0, as he said. We have the Chiefs 3-0. We have the Minnesota Vikings 3-0. And we have the Seattle Seahawks 3-0. So, out of those teams, who would you say is, and let's exclude the Chiefs because they are the reigning reigning Super Bowl, they got it, world champs, blah, blah, blah. So, excluding them, and normally I probably would have excluded the Bills too because they went through such an overhaul. Let's keep them in there. Who do you think is the most legit, and who do you think is the most fraudulent? I think you've already checked off the Steelers maybe as the most fraudulent.
I mean, the Steelers and then the Seattle Seahawks.
Frauds.
Okay. I think are pretty fraudulent.
Absolutely. Now,
legitimately, I think the Bills and then the Vikings with the division that they're in, and the Detroit Lions looking a little iffy right now. I think Sam Darnold, is he going to show up for the whole season is the big question for if they're going to actually do well this season.
The biggest question.
Because if he does well, it reminds me of the team he left, where Brock Purdy, where it's like he might not be the best at this or might not be the best at anything, but
Right.
he gets it to guys like Justin Jefferson,
Yep.
Jalen Naylor,
Yep.
Jordan Addison. Now that he's coming back,
Yep. And
hopefully
eventually
TJ Hawkinson comes back.
Yep.
So and
Aaron
you have
Jones.
Aaron Jones as your running back. So it's like he has a plethora of guys that just get it to him at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And clearly there's other guys like a Gardner Minshew where it's like it's not that easy. So clearly Sam Darnold has a little something going on and has a little repertoire with his receivers. So I think they're a team that if you just get it to JJ, I mean, JJ is that boy. So just get it to him. You'll get at least probably like 2 touchdowns every game. Like I think out of the 3-0 teams, they could be the most legitimate, as well as the Bills, because they have Josh Allen.
Right. Yeah, I'd probably say the Seattle. You know, obviously we got beef anyway, so y'all are frauds. I mean, I couldn't even believe that I read that. Like I scrolled down to the bottom, I was like, "Excuse me." That is not feasible. In terms of legitimacy, I would say the Vikings are legit. How legit always is going to depend on a quarterback in playoff time. I think that defense should be talked about a lot more. Yeah. That defense is good. They're going to be really, really good this year. They have a very formidable pass rush, and they're really good in the trenches on both sides. Like this team is a big team, big football team, and they're not like a natural ground and pound team, but they almost feel like one in terms of physicality. Yeah. Like they really do like to go in there and make you feel their presence. So like I think as long as like Mitch was saying, as long as Darnold can play smart, they have a superstar in Jay Jettas, and they got enough complementary players around them to, I think, be able to sustain the leads that, I think the D will be able to, play a part in holding down. But I would say that the most legit would be the Bills. And only just because Josh Allen is, I think, the MVP so far, and I think he should win the MVP this year if he's going to continue playing the way he is. And a weird part of me thinks that offense has now been opened up. Now they lost Stephon Diggs. Is there, are they as prolific? I don't know, but they do look a lot harder to stop because they used to force it to Diggs. And there would be certain times in the game where it was like Josh Allen was like scared of Diggs and just was like, I'm going to go to him regardless of what the coach said, regardless of what's going on. And I think that they lost to the Chiefs a lot because of that. Because that's anti-Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes will not do that. And
unless it's Rashee Rice.
Right, this year. Because Travis Kelce is still sitting up in the seats
hanging out
with
Taylor.
Old girl. Yeah.
Mine's in the suites.
Gone. But anyway, so that would be our if you got any quarrels, what we got, that's our legit, or you better go ahead and quit. That's that list for the 3-0s. We'll keep touching on that as the undefeateds continue. We'll keep letting you know the radar of, is this legit, or should we just walk away and talk
Yeah, no.
But without further ado, we got my boy with the hot corner. Some of y'all favorite stuff. Baseball going into the final stretch.
Yeah,
let him take it away.
We winding down. It's down to the nitty gritty. Playoff time coming. There's one more series for each team left. So we'll just kind of break down what teams are going to the playoffs, break down some of the league leaders and their respective stats, and then obviously have a Shohei and Aaron Judge shout out. They've had amazing seasons. And then I'm going to wrap it up talking about my Oakland A's and how they ain't finna be my Oakland A's no more. So to start off in the AL, we got our boys in the AL East, the Yankees and the Orioles.
Los Yankees.
Always thought those were going to be the two teams that come out of it. We have the Yankees, who are paying everybody to come to their team to make a super team. And then you have the Orioles, who came up out from the minor leagues to all the way up their show. And now they're in the MLB. Got guys like Gunnar Henderson absolutely killing it for them.
Jeez.
Jordan Westberg was killing it for them. They got their young guy and Jackson Holiday. He's been kind of struggling, but he's somebody exciting to come around and see. Ryan Mountcastle, Cedric Mullins, so Anthony Santander, who had like 40 home runs.
And then what was the guy, Cowser?
Colton Cowser in the outfield, another good guy. So they have a plethora of guys, unlike the Reds, who are actually doing good. So that shows the reason why a team like the Orioles have made it to the playoffs and a team like the Reds still not making it.
Right. Oh, did we say Adley?
Oh, yeah, and obviously Adley Rutschman. Sorry. Can't forget about him. He's a talisman for them for sure. So the AL Central, we got Cleveland Guardians making it to the playoffs. Then we got three teams. The Detroit Tigers, the Minnesota Twins, and the Royals all vying for a wild card spot to get into the division series, ALDS, and make it further into the playoffs. It's going to be exciting to see that because absolutely nobody but the Astros from the AL West made it to the playoffs. Everybody else got eliminated real quick. Mariners had a good start.
Woo! Boom, boom, boom.
Just their season imploded. Even after getting guys like Randy Arozarena and Justin Turner, they got pitchers like Logan Gilbert and Brian Wu. Just they couldn't put it all together. They got Luis Castillo. So hopefully they can switch it up for next year, but that's tough for them to not make it this season after making so many additions.
Right.
Then on the NL side, we got the Phillies making it out of the NL East, kind of dominating that one. They have the Mets and the Braves still vying for a wild card spot. See if they can make it in, squeak in for that one gamer. In the NL Central, we got the Brewers in an awful NL Central where everybody got eliminated just like the AL West besides the Brewers. So hopefully those teams can switch it up.
Out of there.
When you got the Pirates finishing last under 500, they got some promising guys for next season, so look out for them. I think one of the big keys is making sure O'Neal Cruz makes a vast improvement into next season because there was many 0 for 4 days, and they can't be having that out of their number one shortstop and damn near best player on the offensive side. Then you go to the NL West where you got those Dodgers and you got the San Diego Padres making their way to the playoffs with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ending up going to probably play in either the Mets or the Braves to see who can get into that wild card spot. Sucks to see both my A's and your Giants not have a great season. Hopefully things can start turning around. A's obviously got a ton of work to do. Giants, on the other hand, maybe it was a one or two key moves that they can make because they were only one game. They're only one game under 500 as of right now. So still middling team. That means only a few adjustments to be made. I think Birdsong is going to be a good. He's going to be a solid pitcher for them moving forward. He looks like a little 17-year-old out there.
For real.
But he's somebody who has shown some promise for them in their rotation as well. Mm-hmm. So just to round that up, in the AL, we got New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles, Cleveland Guardians, and Houston Astros as your locks right now. And then on the NL, we got the Phillies. We got the Brewers, we got the Dodgers and Padres, all as our locks to get into the playoffs. Sorry for these other teams. Hopefully this offseason y'all can make moves, make improvements so that you go from last to maybe a playoff spot, wild card spot. There's still hope, unless you're the White Sox.
39 wins.
39 wins. They were thankful to get only 120 losses. I think maybe the record was 121, so they're very happy to not be those guys.
Minus 311 run differential.
Woo! What? Luis Robert, you got to trade him while you can because he's the only guy you guys really got over there.
Wow.
Looking like the A's. Jeez. But now moving on to something a little bit lighter, we got our top players in terms of statistics for the whole MLB through the whole season. I kind of am just going to say these guys will all be the tops because even though there's 3 or 4 games left, things can change, but I think these guys are solid where they are. Starting off, Bobby Witt, number 1 in batting average, batted .332 this season. Absolutely killed it for the Royals. Pretty much one of the main reasons that they're even in the race for a wild card spot. He's been huge for them. So shouts out to you, batting .332.
Bro,
still only like 22, 23 years old. Absolute stud.
Made me a believer.
So shouts out to you, Bobby Witt. Hold it down. Now on the pitching side, we got Tarek Skubal and we got Chris Sale. Probably gonna be your 2 Cy Youngs for each side. Chris Sale absolutely coming back into Cy Young form, dominated. Probably one of the biggest reasons why the injury-riddled Braves have been able to get to a wild card spot. And then Tarek Skubal for the lowly Detroit Tigers just showing that
That's crazy.
It's another team that has dominant pitching at all times. He's just another one
18
in the
wins
line of
with them,
thing.
though?
18 wins.
Jeez.
Just coming off of just like Justin Verlander was for the Tigers, David Price, Scherzer, all those guys, Rodriguez, Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah.
They just always have really good pitching, and they're hoping that he'll stick around. But with how great and talented he is, I know another team's going to try and trade for him and get him out of there.
Got to.
So Chris Sale and Tarek Skubal, as well as being the 18-game winners, highest in the whole league, have the two highest ERAs. At Chris Sale at 2.38 and Tarek Skubal right behind him at 2.39. They're just absolute studs. I mean, they're guys that will carry your whole team, obviously, through a whole season. They're workhorses. Chris Sale on the older side.
Yep.
So it's great to see him be able to come back after so many years of injuries, after he had won Cy Young Awards, to be able to come back and show, hey, I still got it, just like a Justin Verlander coming back after years and being a guy who can win you the Cy Young.
Thanks.
Home runs, hey, we got our two MVPs at the top of the list. We got our boy Aaron Judge with 57, kind of slowed down. Got to have a series against the A's where he got a few more. But we were hoping for 60. He still has a chance, but he has at 57 right now.
I hit one today.
Hit one today, so he's at 58 now. So, hey, let's go for 60, my guy. We need it. Some excitement right there. Shohei Ohtani from the National League side, my boy 50-50, has 53 home runs, 56 stolen bases. First person in MLB history to go 50-50. I mean, what more can you ask from a guy who's not even pitching? He can also pitch as well. So it's going to be exciting to see if he can be the first person ever to potentially be an MVP and Cy Young winner in the same year. He has that much talent. That's crazy to watch. Don't forget about my boy Barry Bonds. He's still got a long way to go to be that guy.
Right.
But, hey, this is the closest thing I think
for sure
we've seen for overall all-around talent. I mean, this guy's amazing. We've obviously never seen a guy this talented at both pitching and hitting.
Not even close.
Incredible. Already pulling up a Hall of Fame career just after just one new season after being with the Angels for so long. Who
held him back.
Held him back. So it's exciting to see him. I think you guys should all go out and watch him. The playoffs are coming. He hasn't been involved with the playoffs at all, so this is going to be his first time experiencing it. The only other thing that has been anywhere close to it has been the World Baseball Classic in terms of pressure and anticipation. And he went crazy. And then just a quick shout-out to Anthony Santander. Had 44 home runs, is in third place. He's somebody who started the season a little shaky.
That's massive.
But he's I think he might be one of the first switch hitters to be at 44 home runs or something that high, 40-plus home runs. So shout out Anthony Santander, who definitely doesn't get talked about that much.
At all.
And then RBIs, who do you think it is? Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani at the top. 142 for Judge, 125 for Shohei.
That 144 is
I mean, these are the type of numbers that, like, back in the day, the Barry Bonds, the Larry Walkers, the Mark McGuires, those guys were all getting those. The Chipper Jones, where you go back and you see those highlights. You see
it since.
And it's just like, damn. Like,
Maxwell
had 150 RBIs and like 38. So these guys are actually starting to put up some video game numbers, as well as a guy like Jose Ramirez, 115 RBIs. And then out of nowhere,
how about
Willie Adames, 111.
Yeah, what?
And then, Brent Rooker, probably going to be gone from the A's because he did good this season. So
we all know how that goes.
But he had damn near 40 home runs.
110 RBIs.
He had like 38 home runs, and then 110
fifth in the
RBIs
league. That's in the league
on like one of the worst teams in the A's.
Bro,
so shout out to Brent Rooker for holding it down.
Last season in the town.
Right. Stolen bases. Ellie De La Cruz took it with 65. He might get one or two more.
The lightning
and then second place, your boy Shohei with the 56. He's trying to push that 55 home runs, 60 stolen bases. It's going to be exciting. He might be trying to just take the opportunity I'm going to try and get it all in right here because I know I'm going to be pitching in the future.
Yep.
So I'm going to be excited to see how he is moving forward, if he's still going to be trying to steal bases and still be this productive on the offensive side when he has to go back to pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And then the smallest little shout out to our closers. We got Ryan Helsley, who after a terrible season last season came in and is leading the league with 48 saves. And then the classic Emmanuel Clase holding it down, 47 right behind him. He's a stud. He's all reliable when it comes to saves. And so that's basically my rundown of what teams are going to be making the playoffs, which ones have been eliminated, and then highlighting some of our guys who have really showed out this season. But I'm going to have to end it on a terribly sad note in talking about the A's. We were very happy today on our last day playing Oakland to get the win against the Rangers, 3-2.
It's only right.
It's only right. The Rangers should have they've been eliminated too, so they should have just gave this game. They should have let us win like 10-0, but they threw Kumar Rocker out there. The guy was he's a beast, but he's only thrown about 2 or 3 games in the his whole career. So I think that was a little bit of a help for us. It was just a 3-2 win, but happy to see us get the last win in Oakland. That would have been terrible to have that stat of yep, even in their last game they lost. But Fisher, the owner for the A's, you were the problem. Yeah, Libby Shaft and some of the politicians around Oakland haven't been the best in terms of trying to help you guys out. But you're a billionaire and you're asking the city and you're asking the people for money to help build a new stadium for you in Oakland. And now you're trying to do that in Vegas. And people aren't flying with that, bro. You are a billionaire. Guess what? You didn't even become a billionaire. You were born into it, dog. Joe Lacob came over and begged y'all to sell to him so that they can make the team better. Because what they realized when they invested in their players for the Warriors is that they won and ended up with even more money.
Right.
So if you want a team to be successful, you can't let your stadium end up being the worst stadium in the whole MLB. You can't have players on your team who are actually good, and when they need to get paid, you ship them off. There's a whole list. Matt Olson, Marcus Semien, Sean Murphy, Matt Chapman, Eric Chavez, Miguel Tejada, Barry Zito, Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, Jermaine Dye, Johnny Damon, Jason Giambi, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson, Reggie Jackson, Catfish Hunter, Vida Blue. I just went through several decades of guys who have been out there who we've just, all right, we're done with them after a few seasons of being good. And you started in 2005. Since 2005, since you've taken over the team has won the division 5 times, and each time they lost in a division series. The one time that they won past the division series, they get swept in the championship series. So even when the A's have done good, they haven't produced. And every time for the last, I want to say 10 seasons, there has been maybe 1 to 2 players that other people could even name in general. And that's because they just were so happen to be having great seasons for the A's.
Right.
But when you're having a team come out there with a bunch of AAA level players where other teams basically consider us a quadruple A team to spread out our players to other teams, it's not a good look. And I'm not trying to hear and see all these comments from regular people from I don't know where trying to be like, oh, look, you guys finally showed up when the season's over, when you guys are going to leave. If you put out a crap team and a crap product, why would people come see that? And it's not 1 or 2 years. It's decades of you guys putting out teams where nobody knows anybody. It's they have to give us an all-star each year, but nobody on our team half the time has been worth an all-star vote compared to the guys on other teams. So when people are saying, oh, you guys only show up when the team, how many teams are out there that basically are like the movie Major League where the owner is literally trying to get the team out of there and doing everything.
Right.
Players, the locker rooms are awful. The bathrooms are awful. They have raccoons and rats in the announcers' booths and stuff while they're not. You know what I'm saying? You clearly weren't trying at the end of the day. Yep. And then to we were talking about earlier before our show started, this guy didn't do anything.
Nothing.
at all, and then wanted to send a letter at the end of it and say, "Oh, sorry guys, we really tried. We've been trying to put since we've had the team since '05. We've been trying to put the best team together and bring out the best." That's a straight up lie. Yeah. Everybody can see it. And so for the people saying that, oh, these fans aren't even, we would be there. And if you go back and look at when we had the Jermaine Dye wasn't an Oakland A. He came to the team.
Yeah.
Johnny Damon came to the team.
Yeah.
Jason Isringhausen came to the there were people who were coming to the A's to play.
Because they were already good.
And then, we had one season where we didn't make it to the championship series or World Series. Maybe we should start getting rid of these guys.
Every single one.
And every single one.
Except for Eric Chavez. And then he even got
Yeah. And so it's just miss me with all the stuff you got to say, Fisher, in terms of, oh, we were trying. No, you weren't. You wanted out. And then to all these people talking about how Oakland, oh, you guys didn't have loyal fans. We didn't show up because Jeff Fisher or John Fisher, whatever his name is, was not putting together a good product. I can speak on, I used to go to this restaurant, Gordo's, a burrito shop, Gordo's, all the time growing up. My whole life, it's been A1 since day one.
Yeah.
Last few years, the people aren't the same, the workers aren't the same, the ownership's not the same, and guess what? I don't even want to go there anymore. So to act like, oh, you should still go even when it's a bad product, that doesn't even make any sense. It's not just a bad product, it's effort trying to make it a bad one and trying to make the stadium a bad experience by not upgrading it in 30, 40 years. So to anybody who says the Oakland fans aren't loyal, go ask Warrior fans, go ask the other teams, go see those tailgates that the Raiders were having back here that everybody will talk about if you ask them. I don't want to hear that. Oakland fans will always show out and always be ready. So it's a travesty that we've now lost all our teams. No more Raiders, no more Warriors, no more A's.
Bruh.
And they're probably never going to come back. And that's just depressing. So sorry to end my MLB roundup on a sour note, but that's just how I'm feeling. It's a mix of sadness and anger because really it's not the people of Oakland that wanted to get rid of this team. It was just the owner who didn't want to be here no more. And Oakland kind of going in a downward trajectory in terms of a city.
Right. But it damn near went hand in hand. You know what I mean? So anyway, another week in the books. Like we said, we're definitely going to come back with more positivity next time because we got to give you the real. So if we end on a little bit of a sour note, it's just because the reality of the situation is that. And so, you know, for all of you A's fans out there, for all of you Oakland fans in general, you know, a bid farewell. Today's a very, very sad day. But we're very glad that we could come and present this episode on a victory day, on a day that they were able to close the season out or close their home experience out with a W.
Before we get out of here, can we just have a quick moment of silence for our A's? For my A's?
Let's do it. Quick moment of silence.
Deals and Coco, it's a base hit to right field. Smith to third, up the ball, bobbled and right by Garcia, and the A's have won it.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.